but greatly used by God. Ananias reminds me of Joseph in the nativity story. He's an unsung hero. Not much is mentioned of Joseph other than being Mary's husband and Jesus' surrogate father. But were it not for Joseph's faith, they would not have made it to Egypt. Ananias is a reluctant disciple because he has heard of the threatenings, the murder that Paul committed. He heard of him being aggressive and antagonist of the faith. Paul's reputation has preceded him, and Ananias is reluctant to even go to him, but the Lord says, do not be afraid to approach him. He's no longer persecuting Saul, he's praying Paul. He's no longer a student of Gamaliel, he's a servant of the Lord. A whole lot could be said about Ananias, and I'd like for you to think with me for a moment about the people in your life, the unsung heroes in your life, the people who will never get any recognition, whose names will never appear in the newspaper. They will never be featured. They will never be highlighted. Nothing will ever really be said about them on this side because they made their contribution and went off the scene. Maybe they prayed for you. Maybe they helped you while you were in college. Maybe they prepared a meal for you or just said a kind word when you needed one spoken. Maybe they were there when nobody else was there. A pat on the back, a handshake, a crumpled up $5 bill, whatever it was, they were there behind the scenes, wind underneath your sails, pushing you when you were not able to move on your own. Those people are gone. They are no longer on the scene. But had it not been for their influence, had it not been for their touch, had it not been for their story, had it not been for their testimony, we may never know their names, but their names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life because somebody helped you to be where you are. If a turtle is on a fence post, somebody put it there. Wherever you are in life, somebody help you get there. Don't ever be so proud that you can't admit somebody helped you. Never be so arrogant as to think you made it on your own. I think I mentioned to you some time ago that there was this virtuoso on the concert organ. He was playing in London at the symphony in London, and he was a fantastic musician playing the organ. But behind the scenes, that was this old black man pushing that bag to make that sound. They needed the bag to be pushed and pushed and pressed and pressed in order for the organ to get the air, the wind, to make the sound. But the virtuoso was the one who was being applauded. People were clapping and cheering after he got through playing, and when he got through playing, they asked for an encore. And the old black man came from behind the curtain, and the virtuoso told him to go back behind the curtain because the people wanted to hear him. So he got back on the organ and he started playing, and no sound came. He started playing and looking around, and no sound came, and the old black man was just standing there with his arms folded. And the organist kept trying to get him to come in, and then he closed the curtain and he went back there. He said, "What's the matter?" He said, "You did it on your own the first time. Try and see, can you do it on your own this time?" And I need to tell somebody here this morning who sitting down with your arms folded, acting like you don't know who it was that kept you. God might say to you tomorrow, "You did it on your own the first time. See how you're going to make it without me this time. Without God, I can do nothing." I need somebody here who knows that if it had not been for God on your side, God in your mess, God with you when nobody else was with you, God with you in your depression, God with you in your abuse, God with you when nobody would stand by your side. It was not yourself putting wind in your life. It was God making a way for you. And since God has done so much for you, don't act like you made it by yourself. Give God the glory. Thank you for all you've done for me. I acknowledge your goodness in my life, and every time I get a chance, I want to tell God thank you. The church was afraid to take Paul in. Bad reputation, a murderer, a blasphemer, and the church was afraid to take him in. But had it not been for the wisdom of Ananias, had it not been for the fellowship of a man named Barnabas, we never would have heard of the Apostle Paul. Here it is in the text. Paul is now converted. God has changed his life. And in verse 20, God has changed his conversation. When he came to Damascus, he was on his way to Jerusalem to destroy certain of the church. He was on his way to arrest and got arrested. He was on his way to take charge, and then charge was taken over him. Be careful what you think you're going to do. Because it's hard for God to miss you if he really wants to get his hands on you. I need one or two more witnesses here who can help me testify that there have been some times in your life when you didn't want to do right, but God had his hand on you and pulled you back to what you said you would never do. Don't ever talk about what you ain't gonna ever do, because God knows how to make you eat your words. Because if his spirit is in you, he controls you. Look at it again. Look at it again. Look at it again. And immediately he began to proclaim Jesus. He went on his way to stop them from talking about Jesus. And now he can't stop talking about Jesus. He's on his way to stop them from talking about Jesus. And now he can't stop talking about Jesus. What a wonderful change in my life has been wrought since Jesus came into my heart. You know, I don't understand church folk who can only get happy at church, who can only smile at church, who can only clap and praise at church. When you've been forgiven a lot, when you've been brought through a lot, when you've come through some stuff that could have taken you under and you're still standing, it don't have to be Sunday morning. You don't have to be at Lily Grove. You could be sitting at your computer at work, and all of a sudden tears start rolling down your eyes, because when you think about how good God's been, let you work till you retire, still taking care of you in your 70s and your 80s, taking care of your children. They're not worrying you for nothing. They are taking care of themselves. God's been so good to you that everything you got is paid for. You can shout hallelujah. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to stress. You're not hungry. You're not looking for nothing. You wear what you want, drive what you want, eat what you want, Sleep when you feel like it. Wake up when you please. God's been good, and I don't care who's looking at me. I come to shout. He changed my conversation. He changed my whole attitude. He changed my disposition. My elders down in Louisiana would say it like this: I looked at my hands, and my hands looked new. I looked at my feet, and they did too. I started to walk, and I had a new walk. God will do something to your conversation that people will be shocked to hear you talking like that. He's on his way to stop them from naming the name Jesus. And now that's all he can talk about. But brothers and sisters, when you're really converted and you really trust God for a change, not only is Paul changed in conversation, he's changed in his character. Look at verse 21 with me and verse number 22. And all who heard him were amazed and said, is not this the man who made havoc in Jerusalem among those who invoke this name? And has he not come here for the purpose of bringing them bound before the chief priests? Saul became increasingly more powerful and confounded the Jews who lived in Damascus by proving that Jesus was the Messiah. How did Paul prove that? Proof that Jesus is the Son of God is a changed life. When you remember what you were, and when you look at what you are now, that's proof that Jesus is the Messiah. I need some crooks in here right now. I need some X's in here right now. What you used to be. Come on, talk back to me if you can. You wouldn't be in church on no Sunday morning at 11:09 because you'd just be coming back from Friday. Drunk, high, talk back to me if you can. Out of your mind. But the Lord has changed you. And the evidence that the Lord has changed you is you're in here this morning giving him praise. If God has changed your life, all you've got to do is show up, and that's a testimony. It's amazing. It's life affirming to give God glory by just showing up. St. Francis of Assisi said, preach everywhere you go. If necessary, use words. Somebody gonna get that on the way to Papa Doe. A changed life is a sermon. A changed heart is a witness. A changed person, a changed man, a changed woman is a testimony that if God can work on my life, God can change anybody. Now, if you're still the same person you were 30 years ago, 30 years later, you may not be saved, because God is moving some stuff and shifting some stuff around, and you might look cosmetically different outside, But if your heart is still black with sin, if your attitude is so bad that nobody wants to sit next to you in church, if somebody parks next to you and just, kind of bump your car and the police got to be called at the church, maybe your testimony needs to be worked on a little bit. Let me help you with your testimony. God, please keep my mouth, hold my tongue. I want to say something real bad right now, but I need you to help me to be a witness, because I taught Sunday school just 20 minutes ago, and I can't be out here cussing these folk on the parking lot. I really don't want to sit by this girl, but Lord, I need your help. Strengthen me where I'm weak. Build me up. She got the same dress I got on. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I need somebody here who can help me talk real talk this morning, because sometimes you just got to talk to yourself like that, because the devil doesn't stay home when you come to church. Sometimes he rides with you. And from the time you get out that car till you get in your seat, somebody done got on your last nerve. But since God has changed you in your conversation, God has changed you in your character, he holds some things back in you so that your testimony will not be ruined. Because folk who may not read the Bible read your life. So I want to be a living sanctuary. I want to be a walking sanctuary. I want to take church with me when I leave church. I want to take church with me when I'm not at church on Sunday. That there ought to be something mysterious about you. There ought to be something different about you. There ought to be something really amazing and affirming about your testimony, that people want to hear from you. What happened? What's going on with you? What took place in your life that made such a difference, that made such a change in your life? And the change is Jesus Christ. I'm a different person because of my relationship with Christ. I'm not all that I ought to be, but I'm grateful that I'm not what I used to be. God is working on me. God is improving me. God is pruning and cutting away some stuff that does not please him, so that by the time I get here on Sunday morning, I've already prayed before I got in the sanctuary. He said, Ananias, I need you to go down the straight street. And when you get there, there's a man praying. I've already shown him that you're going to come over and lay hands on him. And the scripture says when Ananias got to the house, Saul was on his knees praying. And this same Ananias, who was reluctant to go and witness to him, lays hands on him, watch this, and calls him Brother Saul. Brother Saul. Saul, who just held the garments of Stephen when they were stoning him to death, is now Brother Saul. The difference God makes in a life is so radical and so amazing that when God does it, you know it was God who did it. I'm reading a book now by Elisabeth Elliot. Elisabeth Elliot just went to be with the Lord recently. She was in her 90s. She served as a missionary along with her husband Jim Elliot and 5 other couples in Ecuador, the Auca Indian tribe in Ecuador. Elizabeth Elliot went there with her husband as a young couple. They had a small 9-month-old daughter, and they went to Ecuador to witness and to minister, be missionaries to the Auca Indian tribe. They were translating the Bible in their language, and they were witnessing to them, sharing their living among them as missionaries. And 5 men, 4 along with her husband, Jim Elliott, were savagely beheaded by the Auca Indian tribe. Savagely killed. They were slaughtered by this tribe that were cannibals. And her husband and 4 other men were tragically beheaded. One of them was eaten alive. They were a savage tribe of Auca Indians. In 1973, 4 of those Indian tribe members, one of them had died, 4 of those tribe members came to America to witness and testify how God had changed. The same ones who killed her husband. Elizabeth Elliot was in the congregation standing with them as they witnessed about how God changed their lives through her mission work and through the death of her husband and 4 other men. She wrote a book entitled Suffering is Never for Nothing. No matter what the circumstance is in your life, suffering is never for nothing. Those same men who killed her husband became Christian and testified of how strong their faith was, and she was able to stand with them because God changed their life so radically that the killers are now missionaries. That's how amazing grace is. That's how radical grace is. That's how powerful salvation is. It took God nothing to hang stars in space. It took God nothing to make mountains and trees and rivers and oceans. But for God to save a life, he had to come himself and die. That's how radical salvation is. And for God to go to all that trouble to send Jesus to die for us, it means that it must be a radical change in us. He changed his conversation. He changed his character. Brothers and sisters, as I hurry to the close, when God really has something to do with your life, he changes your commitment. Paul spent 3 years in Arabia in dedication to the person of Christ, in determination to persevere for Christ, and his desire to confess Christ. He went, in other words, into obscurity. In order for God to make him powerful, God had to send him into obscurity. I'm trying to quit here now, but some of us are trying to be powerful with no testimony. You haven't been through anything. You haven't suffered through anything. You haven't struggled through anything. And it may not make sense to this generation, particularly young folk in their 20s and 30s. It may not make sense to them. So let me see if I can try to unpack it for you. You will not get it because you have a smartphone that takes pictures immediately. All you got to do is click a button, and the picture is right there. You don't have to wait for it. It's right there on your phone. So it's no understanding for you unless somebody 40 and over explain it to you. Years ago, you had a Kodak camera with a flash bulb that you almost went blind when the bulb flashed. And then even after taking the picture, you had to send it to the store for them to develop the film. And the film could only be developed in a dark room. Somebody gonna help me close here. That instant faith ain't worth nothing. You need some faith that's been developed in a dark room. You had to cry all night. I wish I had somebody whose faith has been developed. You've had to do without some things. Folk have talked about you behind your back and smiled at you in your face. That develops you in a dark room. And now that you've been developed fully, nobody can make you doubt God's goodness. Nobody can make you deny God's faithfulness, because your faith did not come from a smartphone. It came from a dark room. I need somebody here who's been through some storms. You've had a cancer diagnosis and you're still standing this morning. You've been divorced and you still got joy today. You lost your job, and just like you lost that one, God had another one waiting for you. You lost a family member and you thought it was the end of the world, but you're still standing because God became a mother for you. God became a husband for you. God became company when you were alone. You were broke and looked like you'd never be able to get back on your feet. But look how far God has brought you. You got a savings account now. You're driving a nice car. You're living in a nice house. You didn't do that because you went to college. Because there's a whole lot of folk went to college or under the 610 bridge this morning. But God's been good to you. God has changed your life. And don't be embarrassed to shout about the change. Don't be ashamed to give God glory about the change. Don't be on the outside looking in. Come on the inside and look out. Tell somebody you're the head and not the tail. You are a lender and not a borrower, because God's been good to you. Don't be embarrassed to shout about your blessings. Don't leave your good car in the garage and drive that old car to work. Get in the car God has given you and let them look at you and say, how you like me now? You talked about me 10 years ago. You laughed at me when I was not on my feet yet. But how you like me now? Look where God has brought me from. I wish I had one or two more witnesses. Just like the Lord brought Paul from a mighty long way, He's got some other Pauls in here this morning. He's got some Paulettes in here this morning, that He's opened doors for you. He's made ways for you. He's paid bills for you. He's made a way out of no way just for you. He cleared a path just for you. He prepared a table just for you in the presence of your enemies. He's anointed your head with oil so that right now your cup is just running over. Surely goodness and mercy. Have I got a witness here? Goodness and mercy is just following you. Some days you don't feel good, but you're feeling good today. Some days some stuff is messed up in your life, but you ought to look at somebody this morning and tell them, you should have seen me when the Lord first got His hands on me. You think I'm a mess right now. You should have been there when the Lord saved me. Somebody standing next to you right now might really be going through something that you don't know anything about. I want you to preach to them right now. I want you to use your preaching voice right now and tell them, I've got a feeling that everything is going to be all right. I got a feeling. Come on, use your preaching voice. I got a feeling everything is going to be all right. How you know that, Reverend? One Friday on a hill called Calvary, He died. Didn't He die? But Sunday morning, He got up from the grave. Come on, tell somebody, be not dismayed. dismayed, whatever betide. God will, God will, God will take care of you. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he make a way? How you know it, Reverend? I tried him for myself. I tried him for myself. I was sick and he made me well. I almost died, but he gave me a testimony. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Why don't you grab somebody? Tell him he will turn it around. He will make a way for you. He will. He will. He will. I know he's all right. I am not the same. I'm not the same because God has changed me. He's changed my conversation. He's changed my character. He's changed my nature. He's changed my commitments so that the things that used to bother me just roll off my back now. The things that were of great concern are small and in the background. I don't worry about who likes me and who does not like me and who's on my side and who's not on my side. I was preaching in Memphis, and this lady came up to me and just kept on nagging me. I'm trying to shake other people's hands. She just kept on wanting to talk. And she just kept on wanting to talk. And so I finally stopped talking to these other people and said, yes, ma'am. She said, I used to watch you all the time, and you said something really that I didn't like, and I stopped watching you, but I started back watching you. I said, ma'am, do you have a phone or computer or TV or something you watch on? Oh, yes. I said, do you have a mute button? Or a button that says end or stop? Just press it. Because you know how many folks show up on Sunday morning to listen to me preach? That I'm going to worry about one woman in Memphis who didn't like what I said. And she said, well, if you feel that way about it. I said, yes, I do. Go on, let me shake these other people's hand. Listen, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to open the doors of the church. There are some people, you have to meet them where they are. And then leave them there. Because when God changes your life, you're changed forever. And he writes your name in the book of life. Persecuted believers. He blasphemed the name. He did everything he could to thwart and to stop the movement of the way. And this Paul, who is on his way to arrest, has himself been arrested. Same God he was on his way to destroy is the God who stopped him on the Damascus road, blinded him in the middle of the day, called him to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. And now this persecuting Saul is praying Paul. This student of Gamaliel is now a servant of the Lord. And he is so feared by the believers because his former life and his present life are in such contradistinction that they are afraid to take him in. You will never know that Jesus is all you need until you wake up and discover that Jesus is all you have. Walk with me around the text. In verse number 23, after some time had passed, the Jews plotted to kill him. Paul plotted to kill Jews, and now the Jews are plotting to kill him. The Jews that he was with in his blaspheming of the Christ are now the Jews that hate him so much they want to kill him because he's left them to follow Jesus. He leaves this veil of tribulation and runs right into the people he had come to destroy, because once you see the truth, once you believe the truth, it's hard for somebody to convince you of a lie. Once you know God for yourself, once you have tried him for yourself, you can shout on somebody else's testimony. You can give God praise for somebody else's blessings. You can thank God for what he's doing in somebody else's life. But when he does something in your life and you have your own story, you have your own testimony, when you know the truth for yourself, nobody can turn you around. When you're a true believer, you don't run from the Jehovah's Witnesses. You don't tell your children to tell them you're not home when they knock on the door. You go outside and argue, contend for your faith. Because if you don't know what you believe, you shouting on credit. See how quiet you got right there? If you're not going to Sunday school, if you're not reading the scriptures for yourself, if you don't know God in your own personal life, and you come to church on Sunday morning and give God praise, for what? You don't know what you're praising. You don't know who you're praising. But if you know him personally, not because of what your mama told you, not because of what your Sunday school teacher said, but your back has been up against the wall. Your testimony is Jesus is all you need, because Jesus is now all you have. I'm looking at some people. I know some stories in this congregation of people who have come to the end of themselves only to find themselves. It's when you leave that old life that your old friends don't want to have anything to do with you. When you leave your old ways, when you pass by the places you used to go to, when you meet up with the friends you used to drink with and smoke with, and now God has made a difference in your life, those same people who used to partner with you no longer want to have anything to do with you, because when God saves you, he changes you. Sometimes you just have to endure times of testing, because you're not doing anything wrong. You just turn your back on your old life, and that comes with some oddity, something mysterious about you, something different about you. Listen, you don't have to do anything to people for them to dislike you. And sometimes it comes out at the most inopportune time. You thought they were on your side. You thought they really loved you until something happened to bring out of them what's been in them all the time. That doesn't have anything to do with you. That has something to do with the devil testing whether or not you believe all you say about God. Because when your enemies assail, that's when your strength kicks in. I wish I had somebody here who's been through some time of testing. It's when the devil comes to destroy your testimony and make you act out of your character, it is then that God gives you the strength you need to look in the face of folk who's supposed to love you, who have tried to destroy you, and say to them, if God be for us, who can be against us? I said this the other day to someone I love, that the craziest things happen in families at death and funerals. And don't let 15 cents be involved. Don't have a shiffer robe full of clothes. You got to be a certain age to know what a shiffer robe is. People, listen, what is in them has been in them all the while, but stress brings it out of them. They've been wanting to say it, but now they blame it on grief. Talk back to me if you can. Or they get drunk enough to speak their sober mind. But you can't let how other folk feel about your testimony destroy how you give God praise. Because what somebody else thinks about you has nothing to do with what God has done in your life. If the Lord's been good to you, don't let them stop you from hollering. Let the redeemed of the Lord and because Paul gave God praise, they plotted to kill him. But God will make a way. They let him down a wall. Listen to this. They let him down through a wall, in an opening in the wall, and they put Paul in a basket. I want you to get this. They put him in a basket and let him down a wall. The very blessing that God sent to them, they let him down in a basket. There's a basket of blessing for every persecuted believer in here this morning. What they trying to keep from you, God will give you more than that. What they're trying to destroy in you, God will keep letting you rise, that your enemy gonna have to look up to you. David said it better than I can say for me. In the presence of my enemies. Come on, you can help me say it. He anoints my head with oil so that my cup is just running over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. Wish I had a witness here. Even when I try to get away from blessing, God will just send one my way. Even when I'm not looking for a miracle, God will just open a door. Even when I was not expecting a blessing, God will let a basket down in my life. I've seen him do it. I said, I've seen him do it. I need somebody else here who can testify. I've seen him do it. I was going to Mississippi to preach, and brother Stephen Scott's mother passed, and I did not want to miss her service, but I had to be gone to Mississippi that day, that Monday, to preach. But I did not want to miss Stephen's mother's funeral service, and he implored me to go on to Mississippi, but I wanted to be there for his mother's funeral service. And so I asked Reverend Thomas Davis, who's now at Riceville, to go to Mississippi and preach in my place. And I had some heavy stuff that I had to do that I needed that money. It ain't no sense in me acting like I had it like that. At that time, I needed that money. I'm pretty good right now, but at that time, I needed that money. So I told Thomas to go, and I told the pastor, don't worry about paying him, I'm going to pay him. But I needed that money. I sent Thomas in my place, and I gave him, before he left, $1,000, because the pastor was going to pay me well, and I needed all that he was going to pay me. But I gave Thomas $1,000 to go and preach in my place. Before church was over, somebody walked up to me and said, Pastor, the Lord has just moved me to give you this amount of money. $1,000 in an envelope. God's got a basket of blessings. If you just trust him, if you just take him at his word, if you just believe that he will make a way out of no way, let the folk talk about you. Let the people try to put stumbling blocks in your way. Let folk try to stop your progress. God will send a basket of blessing in your life to make you know I'm with you. Here it is. They let him down a wall in a basket. He escaped persecution. Paul escapes in a basket. But now he needs encouragement from a brother. He escapes in a basket, but he needs encouragement from a brother. Because he goes to join church and he's rejected. Let's not be too hard on these people, because Paul was a killer. Paul had a notorious reputation. Paul was a dangerous man. Paul was violent. He was vicious and ferocious in his persecution of the church. And for good reason, the church rejected him. You think we would take Charles Manson in here this morning? Or Jeffrey Dahmer in here this morning? Or some notorious serial killer or robber, somebody who's been convicted of murder, and they come here and want to join this church. They killed several people, and we put them on the front seat? We'd have 10 security guards around them, and the FBI and the CIA and everybody else investigating them before they joined the church. We would do the same thing. They were scared to take him in, and for good reason, but thank God for Barnabas. He was rejected by the church, but restored by a brother. Barnabas went to sit with him on the back row. And after Barnabas got through talking to him, Barnabas said, let's not be afraid to take him in. He's not what he used to be. He's not the man that he was. I know he used to be persecuting Saul, but now he's praying Paul. Let's give him a chance. You're going to help me go to the close of this little word, won't you? And somebody here today, God had somebody to give you a chance. You didn't deserve it. You didn't earn it. You didn't work for it, nor were you worthy of it, but somebody had to give you a chance. I'm learning as I get older. And I had to get older to learn this. But I'm learning as I get older to give people the benefit of the doubt. Everybody who's in this church today, each individual one of you, along with myself, is not one particular thing. There's a lot of things that goes into making you who you are. So whenever you see a person fall, don't judge them, because you don't know how long they tried to stand. And maybe had you been walking in their shoes, you might have fallen a long time before. It's easy to judge when you don't have all the facts. Talk back to me if you can. It's easy to point your fingers at people who've done something that you think you would never do. But you've never been in that circumstance. You've never been in that situation. Don't talk about what you won't ever do. Thank God for what you haven't done yet. It's by the grace of God that you haven't done what somebody else has done. But we are not here to compare testimony with somebody else. Thank God for what he delivered you from, and somebody had to give you a chance. Thank God for the Barnabas in the text, and thank God for Barnabases in this congregation. People who encourage other people. Because from time to time, all of us need to be encouraged. All of us need a pat on the back. All of us need somebody to say you're doing a good job. All of us need somebody after we fall to pick us up and say, I know you messed up, but I'm on your side. Have I got a witness here? And if you don't have anybody to do that for you, then do what David did. David patted his own self on the back. David learned how to encourage himself. And you're not going to get people to always congratulate you. That's why you got to have confidence in yourself. You remember when David found the Ark of the Covenant in the home of Obed-Edom, and he was taking it back to Jerusalem, and he got so happy, he got so encouraged by the presence of the Lord finally with him, he started dancing all out of his clothes. His wife looked at that and said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You're making a spectacle of yourself. You're embarrassing yourself in front of these women, dancing all out of your clothes. David said, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till I get this ark back to where it belongs. You think I'm dancing right now. You think I'm praising God right now. You wait until I get God back right where he belongs. And somebody ought to tell somebody in here this morning, you think I'm shouting now. God hasn't answered my prayer yet. God hasn't come to my rescue yet. But you ought to come back here next Sunday, and if God answers me, I'm going to holler. And if he don't answer me, I'm going to holler. And if he answers, I'm going to holler. And if he don't answer, I must, because if he doesn't do anything else, I wish I had a witness here. Don't let anybody gauge your shout. Don't let anybody judge your testimony. You don't know what God has done in my life. Like Paul, don't judge me by the heights I've attained, but judge me by the depths from whence I've come. Because anybody can give God praise up here. You got to learn how to shout when you're down there. Anybody can thank God when you got it going on. But when you down to your last dime, can you still tell God thank you? When mother and father is gone, can you still give God glory? When you're being castigated and lied on and criticized, can you still come to church and hold your head up, lift up your head? Come on, you can help me say it. O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty. The Lord mighty I've watched him fight my battle. I've watched him put down enemies for me. I've watched him open doors that were closed in my face. I've watched him put food on my table. I've watched him raise me up off my sick bed. I should have been dead. But thank God I had some Barnabases in my life. I want to give you a little homework assignment. If you can remember, or if you have to write it down, remember this. Take a moment today at some time, some point during this day. Don't let this day pass by without texting or calling or writing somebody who has encouraged you. Somebody who has made it possible for you to be where you are. Some supervisor who took a chance on you. Some teacher who stayed with you after school. Some Sunday school teacher who prayed for you that you would come out good on the other side of your situation. Some preacher, some old person in your life, some young person, your equal in your life who stood with you in the testing times. Don't let this day pass without calling, texting, or writing a Barnabas and telling them, thank you for standing with me. Thank you for being on my side when maybe that person is here. You might want to get up from where you are right now if you see them and go tell them, thank you for being there for me when I needed you. I know I wasn't always there for you, but you are always there for me. And I am who I am right now because some Barnabas in my life made the difference. I'm trying to hurry here, but he escapes in a basket. He's encouraged by a brother, and he's an example of boldness. They're trying to kill him. They're trying to kill his witness because he's talking boldly about what God has done for him. And brothers and sisters, hear me as I hurry. Paul never preached without telling his testimony. He never witnessed without talking about what happened to him on the Damascus Road. With all of his education, with all of his training, with all of his knowledge, he said, I consider it all dung, the refuse of the human body. I consider it excrement, trash, rubbish, except I know Jesus Christ. Somebody ought to help me close it. Paul did not look down from his ivory tower at people who were not as intellectual as he was, because our world is in danger of being destroyed not by unlettered ignorance, but by unsanctified intelligence. That's intelligence that's not been baptized in the grace of God. The best thing in this church is somebody who got good sense and good religion. A head full of sense and a heart full of sin makes you a menace to society. But if you got learning and burning, information and inspiration, if you got a heart for God, you don't look down your nose at people who are not where you are. Paul said, it's by the grace of God. You're going to help me close this, won't you? It's by the grace of God I am what I am. That's somebody else's testimony in here. By the grace of God, I am what I am. Look back over your life a minute and see where you came from. Maybe you came from a privileged background. You never knew anything about hunger. You never knew anything about being outdoors. You had a mother and father who provided and took care of you. But when you got grown, you made some grown-up mistakes. You did some things that you wish you could undo. That's reason to give God thanks for delivering you from that. Or maybe you were drug addicted and God got you off drugs. And people who see you now can't believe that you are the same person that you used to be. Brother George Dokes is in here this morning. Mark Lewis went up to Plaquemine, Louisiana to preach where Brother Dokes is from. And one of the people was asking Mark where he was, and Mark told him he was in Houston at Lily Grove Church. And the person said, I know somebody in Houston at Lily Grove named George Dokes. And Mark said, yes, Brother Dokes is one of the deacons at our church. And that person said, what? George Dokes is a what? Mark said he's a deacon. He said, you must have another George Dokes in mind. Somebody will help me preach about this Negro over here. And then I told Dokes about that. He said, Reverend, I used to work at this store. And I brought more stuff to home than I put on the shelf. But the Lord done delivered me from that. He said, I was a crook. I was a rascal. But the Lord has delivered me from that. Dokes ain't the only used to be crook in here this morning. It's some more of us in here that somebody hears that we go to church. They say they go where? They doing what? You used to be at the club all night long. You just be coming home by this time of day from Friday night. But the Lord done delivered you from all of that. Come on, help me testify. God is a good God. Even when I was messing up, God was on my side. Even when I didn't have sense enough to look out for myself, God was looking out for me. Somebody was at home praying for me, asking God to make a way out of no way. You might be wondering why some of these people carry on the way they carry on in church. It's because they got something to be carrying on about. Because God has been delivered them of much. And if you've been delivered of much, you learn how to praise much. You're going to help me close this, won't you? The reason Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego could shout in the fiery furnace is because before they were thrown in the fire, they said, King, we're not careful to answer you in this matter because the God we serve is able and he will deliver us out of your hands. But if not, we are still not going to bow and worship your golden image. They threw him in the midst of a burning fiery furnace and heated the fire 7 times hotter than it was normally heated. The king looked in and thought they would have been incinerated by now. But he said, didn't we throw 3 men bound in the fire? They said, yes, O king. He said, well, I see 4 men loose walking around and they don't even look like they've been burned. God will show up in your fiery furnace. They threw Daniel in a lion's den. Daniel couldn't fight, but the Lord made sure that the lions wouldn't bite. He stayed there all night long on the lion's back. The king got up early in the morning, looked down in the den. Now I want you to get this. Daniel slept at night, and the king who threw him in couldn't sleep that night. Daniel slept all night, but the king that threw him in couldn't sleep that night. Let me say it one more time for emphasis. Daniel slept all night, But the king who threw him in couldn't sleep that night, because all night, all day, God will send angels. I wish I had a witness. Has God ever sent an angel to watch over you? Has God ever taken care of you in a situation you got yourself in? Has God ever brought you out of your fiery furnace? Has he ever brought you out of your lion's den? Has he ever brought you out of your Philippian jail? Then you ought to do like Paul did and praise his holy name. Is he worthy to be praised? If the Lord opened doors for you, now would be a good time. If the Lord opened a way for you to make it, you ought to tell him thank you right now. If he brought you out and you're not ashamed to testify, you can give him glory right now. If he put down your enemy for you, if he raised up friends for you, if he paid your bills for you, if he saved your soul, heal your body, put money in your pocket, food on your table, clothes on your back, this would be a good time to tell him thank you for all you've done for me. Ain't he all right? Ain't he all right? Why don't you grab somebody? Tell them you don't know like I know. You can't tell it like I can tell it. What the Lord, I know he's all right. With me, he tells me I am his own, and the joy, I need some joyful people, I need some happy people, I need some grateful people. If God has done something for you, if God has opened the door, if you're grateful this morning, why don't you tell him thank you? Shout his name. Guide me, oh, great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with your powerful hand. Bread of heaven, bread of heaven, feed me, feed me. Feed me, 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 feed me. I know he's all right. When your enemies attack, and sometimes your enemies are members of your own family. Sometimes the folk you least